Well, folks, it's great to be back on this last day of Gay Month, which is really good because, hold on a second, I got something to take care of here real quick. Which is really good because on the last day of Gay Month, well, the Supreme Court finally gave us straight folks a victory. Now, don't get me wrong here, folks. I'm not trying to diss gay people, but what I am trying to diss is people like the people at these pride events in New York where they say, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. That's not okay. It's also not okay to force someone to essentially post something on, to make a website or a cake. Both of these things happen in Colorado, by the way. When said things are against their religious beliefs. Okay? There's a problem with that. And, well, fortunately, the Supreme Court saw there was a problem with that. Also, we have another win. The Supreme Court reversed affirmative action. Well, they didn't reverse it. They just basically said it's unconstitutional, which it is. In this particular situation, there were Asians basically suing Harvard and a North Carolina university. Well, no, the Asians were suing Harvard and some white groups were suing the North Carolina university because they basically were doing things along the lines of taking 300 points from an Asian's SAT score or 100 points, whatever, and then, deducting it. But at the same time, they were giving black kids or Hispanic kids. Black kids, I think, were getting 300 and Hispanics were 200. I could be wrong about this, but it's somewhere along those lines. And Supreme Court said, no, you can't do that. I mean, this is literally, it used to be, affirmative action was, okay, you can't not hire someone because of their race. That's basically what it was. Now, it's you don't accept someone because of their race, which is the deal with the Asians. Okay, so that also happened. We will break that down. The other event, and these three things have the liberals reeling. And it's about time the damn Supreme Court Justice Roberts grew some testicular fortitude for once. Probably because he knew he was outnumbered, and if he went with the Democrats, then who knows? Well, I don't think you can impeach a Supreme Court justice, and if you can, it's pretty damn hard to do. And then you have Biden student loan debt thing shot down. And Biden had some pretty nasty things to say about the court, saying it's not a normal court. I got other stuff to do. I got a press meeting, whatever. And on this PMSNBC press meeting, by the way, they did not ask Joe one time about Hunter, who has been caught on WhatsApp, encrypted messages, decrypted on WhatsApp for saying, listen, to some Chinese guy, I am sitting next to my father right now. If we don't come to this conclusion and give me this, what I want, and fulfill your end of the deal, between my father and everyone he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, you'll be forever regretting this. When waiting for the call with my father, Joe Biden. This is damning evidence. Merrick Garland also for not doing proper prosecution. Now Lauren Boebert brought up the articles of impeachment against Joe Biden last week or the week before, but this was before this WhatsApp thing got leaked by this whistleblower. And I thought the Democrats always loved whistleblowers. Kind of funny when it doesn't go their way. They're not too happy about it. Another event, this is more of a Florida news. Florida news is permitless carry goes into effect tomorrow. And Scott Peterson, not to be confused with the guy who killed his wife and everything else, the school resource officer at Parkland, who is facing 90 years in prison for child neglect and this, that, and the other thing. Well, he had a really good lawyer and he got off scot-free. I'm still not 100% sure how I sit with that, but the guy was 60 years old. You typically become a school resource officer in very good neighborhoods where you don't really expect to deal with any crime in the last few years of your career. He probably wasn't expecting something like this to happen, and he probably wasn't accurately trained. Besides, the phone calls were going to the wrong police station and everything else, and witnesses, students from the school said they couldn't tell where the gunshots are coming from anyway, so he was found not guilty on all counts. Again, probably the work of the good lawyer. A lot of the parents were pissed. Pretty sure a lot of these parents are also the same ones that advocate for gun control. But anyhow, I digress. So it's time to celebrate a little bit here, and let's get on to the program. And before I go on, I did for a while. The videos have since been taken down by YouTube and their censoring of the First Amendment. I did have for a while, and they didn't stay up long, but I did have live callers coming in on Discord. Unfortunately, YouTube censored them because some of the callers gave election misinformation. So I had to put an end to that. Still thinking about trying out Rumble again if they allow me to do live streams. Okay, so this is an event that happened in Colorado, and it's happened twice. This gay couple wanted this woman, I believe her name is... Okay, let's see right here. Lori Smith, and I'm reading this from NPR, folks. NPR, because I just love to read the liberal spin on things when they go our way. In a major decision affecting LGBTQ rights, the U.S. Supreme Court on Friday carved out significant exception to public accommodations laws that in most states bar discrimination based on sexual orientation. By a 6-3 vote, the court sided with Lori Smith, a Colorado web designer who is opposed to same-sex marriage. She challenged the state's public accommodations law, claiming that by requiring her to serve everyone equally, the state was unconstitutionally enlisting her in creating a message she opposes. And Neil Gorsuch was the one that wrote the opinion on this. On Friday, the Supreme Court agreed with her. Writing for the conservative majority, Justice Neil Gorsuch drew a distinction between discrimination based on a person's status, her gender, race, and other classifications, and discrimination based on her message. End quote. If there is any fixed star in our constitutional constellation, he said, it is that the government may not interfere with an uninhabited marketplace of ideas. When a state law collides with the Constitution, he added, the Constitution must prevail. The decision was limited because much of what might have been contested about the facts of the case was stipulated, namely that Smith intends to work with couples to produce a customized story for their website using her words and original artwork. Given those facts, Gorsuch said, Smith qualifies for constitutional protection. He acknowledged that Friday's decision may result in misguided and even hurtful messages, but he said the nation's answer is tolerance, not coercion. The First Amendment envisions the United States as a rich and complex place where all persons are free to think and speak as they wish, not as the government demands. And this, folks, is what I have been waiting for. Because this whole month, we have all these, everything. Listen, as I said, I don't care what someone does in their own house, in their own bedroom. And most gay people aren't about this crap either. Whoever this person was, and by the way, the AP, which may be some fake news, cited that the person in question was like, I didn't even know this happened. I've been married to a woman for over 12 years. Maybe it was a gay guy of the same name. Do you ever think about that? It was a common name. They want us to embrace it. We have to accept it. Well, you have to accept the fact that the sky is blue and the clouds are white or gray or pink when the sun's going down. You have to accept all these things. You have to accept the fact that they're out there, but we don't have to see it in front of our faces. We should be able to turn the other eye. We shouldn't have to look at it. These people want to put it in your faces all the time. Okay, Pride Month. You have guys walking around butt naked in bondage gear, and liberal women mothers bring their kids to this, okay, and have to put G-strings in the dollars in the G-strings of cross-dressing men with their units hanging out in their G-strings. But if a guy took his 16 or 17-year-old son to a strip club, which every 16 or 17-year-old's boy's dream is to have their dad take him to the strip club, maybe get him a beer or something like that, the father would go to jail for child neglect, and the kid would be taken away. Well, even though he's, in as many countries, he would be considered an adult. But a mother can take a 5-year-old boy, have him stick $1 in a man's thong, and it's perfectly fine and acceptable. Now, the 5-year-old's probably confused as to why this thing with an Adam's apple and its tonsils hanging out of a G-string is considered a lady. And why does he have to stick $1 in its arse? I don't know. But this is what the left wants you to believe. This is what the left wants to shove down your throats, folks. And finally, something came along that said you can't make people do what they don't want to do. And the woman filed the case, went all the way to the Supreme Court, based on the right of religious freedom, because, let's be real, in the Bible, it states marriage is between a man and a woman, not a man and a man or a woman and a woman. Based on the ability to have children, somewhat. A man and a man, well, the Democrats would like you to think otherwise, that men can give birth, but they can't yet. I'm sure they'll try and find a way. Bill Gates will probably fund a lot of it, maybe even Dr. Fauci. But this being said, it is, like I said, it is about damn time that they said, nope, you can't force people to do this. You just can't. You can't force someone to make a website. And we don't know what the details were of this website. Maybe there were some gross gay things going on in there. Nobody knows. It's just that the state of Colorado had ruled against it, and she took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court shot it down because that is a violation of her right to free speech. Not religious liberty, but free speech. I think if they went on the air of religion, the left would have been a little more pissed off. Even though the left has many Muslims, and you know what? Who hates the gays the most are the Muslims. So maybe they should have gone on the air of religious thing and then said, well, you know what? Let's say if she was a Muslim and she declined it, you'd probably say it was okay, wouldn't you? Yeah, folks, I'm fired up, but I'm just glad we got this victory, because after a month of seeing all this crap all over the place, thankfully, I don't live in any major city proper where this is going on. And thankfully, my governor is presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, who I'm still, as you can see by my hat, putting my support behind Donald Trump. Although I do believe, and this is off a bit of a tangent, that somehow, some way, this particular election in 2024 is going to end up being DeSantis and Newsom. I could be wrong. But with the two leading contenders for the White House both being under criminal investigation, and the fact that Joe Biden doesn't know what day it is and keeps falling down and everything, I don't know if they're going to run him again. And they have to pick somebody else, because if he does somehow manage to get in there again, and then and something happens, then Kamala. Or if he drops out too late, then they have to run Kamala. And they don't want that word salad eating nut job. Or I should say word salad puking nut job. The rest of us have to eat the word salads. So, on a side note, while we're dealing with the gay crap, Dylan Mulvaney, otherwise known as one of my previous callers refers to him as Dildo Sylvaney, is now like, Bud Light won't accept me anymore. They should have never hired a trans person at all. Well, guess what? Bud Light's taking a big hit. I never drank their beer anyway, just like I never shopped at Target. None of this affects me. I've always been a Coors guy. Now, Coors did support some trans events back in the 90s. It was a little different then. It wasn't gross. It was for adults only. Dylan Mulvaney, which I believe I said in my last video, is acting like a 15-year-old girl in a bathtub drinking a beer. Most of his followers on Twitter are probably 15 to 19-year-old girls who aren't old enough to drink anyway. Maybe they'll be having their older friends or get their fake IDs just so they can buy Bud Light to try and keep it afloat. But that's neither here nor there. Like I say, shoving this crap down our throats, we don't like it, and people are fed up, and that's why you're having these boycotts. Just, there's no straight Pride Month. As I said about the whole strip club thing, if you had the gay pride parade and behind it, you had a bunch of straight people performing sexual acts in bondage, men on women as opposed to men on men or women on women, boom, shut down, not appropriate. Bye-bye. They all go to jail. You see where this is going? Anyhow, on to the next thing. So the next thing is the affirmative election. Oh, wait, I forgot about to do the dissent on this. No, anyhow, you know how liberals are. You know what? I'll do it anyway. In a blistering dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor Obama pointed, said that Lori Smith's objection amounts to discrimination against the status of same-sex couples, discrimination of who they are. Speaking for the court's three liberal justices, she said time and time again, businesses and other commercial entities have claimed constitutional right to discriminate, and time again, this court has courageously stood up to those claims until today. Today, this court shrinks. The lesson of the history of public accommodations law is that in a free and democratic society, there can be no social caste, for the promise of freedom is an empty one if the government is powerless to assure the dollar in the hands of one person will purchase the same thing as another dollar in the hands of another. Hold on a second, Miss Woke Sotomayor. Let me go back to what I previously said. If you go to a business and they refuse to serve you, yes, simply go to another one. For example, let me make this very clear. For about a year and a half, I was drunk, gallivanting around in the Everglades. I didn't wear shoes for a year and a half. If I walked into a store that said, you ain't coming in here because you ain't got shoes, I just went to another store. What's the big deal? I didn't go and make a lawsuit to the entire state of Florida that are discriminating against me because I don't wear shoes. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people aren't very offended by that. I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. It's not like I'm walking around somebody's carpet. It's a damn grocery store. The floor is dirtier than my damn feet. I didn't make a stink about it. That's the thing. These gay folks want to put it down everybody's throat. And you know what? The majority of them the old school ones, the normal ones, they are disgusted by this. They don't think you should be able to lop off a child's penis or boobies without parental consent. In fact, most of them think this shouldn't be allowed until the age of 25, but it's the whack jobs funded by the left and all the sick people. The next thing they're going to do is legalize pedophilia, folks. Just watch. They already started it with, we can't call them pedophiles anymore. We can call them minor attracted persons. We need to get these Democrats out of power. And that goes to the next thing, the affirmative action deal here. This is basically, as I said, race-conscious admissions. And historic, this is also from NPR. Historic decision, the U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday effectively ended race-conscious admission programs at colleges and universities across the country. In a decision divided along ideological lines, the sixth justice conservative supermajority, I love how they say that, invalidated admissions programs at Harvard and the University of North Carolina. The decision reverses decades of precedent upheld over the years by narrow Supreme Court justice majorities that included Republican-appointed justices. It ends the ability of colleagues in universities, public and private, to do what most say they still need to do, to consider race as one of the many factors in deciding which of the qualified applicants is to be admitted. Chief Justice John Roberts, longtime critic of affirmative action programs, wrote the decision for the court majority, saying the nation's colleges and universities must use colorblind criteria in admissions. Now, let's look at it now. Here's a majority opinion. Many universities have for too long concluded wrongly that the touchstone of an individual's identity is not challenges bested, skills built, or lessons learned, but the color of their skin, he wrote. Our constitutional history does not tolerate that choice, which is correct. Basically, the Democrats, Hispanics, with the exception of Cubans here in Miami, and blacks, typically vote big time. I think blacks 85%, Hispanics probably around 70-something percent for the Democrats. So what the Democrats want to do is they want to say, oh, you don't have to be as good as the other guy to get into the college. We'll just not let them get in, or we'll take away points from them and give them to you so that you could get in, so we could have diversity. And what is that good going to do when that diversity, the student that shouldn't really be in there? First off, anybody to even come close to that, and they say these people don't have the money, this, that, or the other thing, and then they fail out of their first semester, well, there's probably a loophole in there that they can't fail. It's reverse racism, and it's still racist. I mean, if you're racist against the white guy, it's okay. But this is Asians. And Asians grow up in a culture where you study 12-hour day. You sleep 6. You study, you go to school, you sleep. You don't sleep too much. You study more. You get B, why not A? You should be get A. In all honesty, I went to school with a lot of black kids, and they'd be like, oh yeah, I got an F. Okay, now granted, those aren't the ones taking the SAT. Those aren't the ones going to Harvard. But the truth of the matter is, hard work should always be rewarded. I couldn't get into anywhere but a community college. I could have worked a lot harder. I probably could have gone somewhere better. But I didn't care for it. There was no profession I really wanted to pursue, no specialized thing. I wanted to fly airplanes. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to have fun when I was in high school. It was a big part of it. And, a lot of these people get these huge degrees, segueing into the student loan thing, where they study political science or this, that, or the other thing, or social justice or some kind of woke ideology, and they spend all this money, and these are the ones that they want to give the student loans back to. And then they get a job that pays nothing, or they can't get a job to begin with, and they end up working at McDonald's, and they have all this debt. So reversing the affirmative action, and Clarence Thomas was a big proponent of this, a black guy, Tim Scott, a black guy. Many black people are big proponents of this because they say this does not, having the affirmative action, at one point it was necessary, many, many years ago. Now it doesn't apply. It shouldn't apply. People aren't racist anymore as much as the Democrats would make you believe. Sure, in some suburbs, small towns of the South, but it goes both ways. You try being in a suburb of Atlanta, a slum of Atlanta, being a white guy driving through there in a Camaro. Or you try, for example, being a black guy in a lowrider Cadillac banged up driving through Martha's Vineyard. No. See, it's the wealthy, and besides, the racism here is primarily was always on the Democrat side. The Republicans freed the slaves. The Republicans integrated schools, not the Democrats. Not the Democrats. But they wanted to take credit for everything. I mean, look at Joe Biden. I want my kids growing up in a racial jungle. Come on, man. My mentor's Robert Byrd, Grand Wizard of the KKK. Come on, man. So the student loan thing, that's the next one we're getting at here. Completely unconstitutional. I believe it was like $430 billion in student loans, fiat currency, just giving away money, just further devalues our currency, and that's up Schitt's Creek as it is. And again, a lot of these people that need the student loan forgiveness got garbage degrees that didn't go anywhere. They didn't make any money to pay off their degrees. Like, I want to be a underwater basket weaving teacher, or I want to work with homeless people. Doesn't pay much. And they spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to these Ivy League schools for these garbage degrees. You can do all these things without the degrees. You can get in there. You don't need a degree to go into broadcasting. You can get a broadcasting degree. Doesn't mean you're going to become the next Rush Limbaugh or the next Sean Hannity, or even the next Howard Stern for that matter. In fact, most of these people never had degrees in their field. They think, folks. And then when they go nowhere and they have no money and the bank's calling at their door, they freak out. They have no money. They're in debt. And Biden goes, well, I guarantee most of these people that were hoping for this loan relief and most people are crying about it are all Democrats. They're all Democrats. This is, again, just another ploy of the left to get people to vote for them because they know they have screwed up this country so much in the past 2.5 years. I don't even know if it's been that long. It's hard to believe they screwed it up in that short amount of time. That there's no way in hell unless they, well, I'm not going to say because I don't want to get banned, but you guys that watch my program know exactly what I'm thinking. If they run Biden again, there is no way in hell they will honestly win in 2024. There's just no way. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.? They may have a shot. I mean, at least he's got something upstairs, but he's not strong enough to deal with the others. Did I mention Biden confused Ukraine with Iraq? I'm pretty sure I did. I don't know. But anyhow, folks, it's great to be back. I hope to be back again next week, depending on how things go. I really haven't, the whole gay thing, all month, all this stuff being shoved down my throat, had a bunch going on. I hadn't been on. I haven't been doing what I normally do. Usually I would take notes for a show like this. But this time, completely ad-libbed. And I like it better that way. It's better for the viewers and everybody else, whoever the hell watches it. But anyhow, keep boycotting that Bud Light. And let's be ultra mega and take this country back next year. Cheers, folks. Joe Biden.